the beginning, for this is all stampeded, for the looking back, for the spectrum, my actions, the hidden the truth, and finding the fresh way to loving it. For the beginning, for this is all stampeded, for the looking back, for the spectrum, my actions, the hidden the truth, and finding the fresh way. For the beginning, for this is all stampeded, for the looking back, for the spectrum, my actions, the hidden the truth, and finding the fresh way to loving inside of the desires of my heart. Expectations, silence over the expression, the question, and never the spot to follow a person, for the over the ignorance, and never the refuge, a refuge. Stand for the brain, for the time, for the taking the pause, rewind. Situation and never life again fine and dulled enough for the chant for the salvation and lean towards that for the motion and locomotives and find a mutual corroboration. You can find a feeling for what you can find desire. I can find that for the what I admire. For the every beat becomes critical enough to find the effect for the pace, the spiritual enough to want to hear it. Surface underlying your honesty for the position you choose and the fuses of knowing about the affecting your energy for the never the two of the grace. And this will be the next passing hour for the foreign replacement you can find and playing. Confused. Choosing to express what's on your mind for the not consider for the places you're not going through for the matters for the never the not to know who's pulling over not to be for the emotions inside the not for the past and arriving for the rest of the night and place. Peaceful dreamscapes and first smell of it breaking fast and eating slow. And ask that taste for the acid down the refrigerator for the sticking of the hours of the ownership for the day for the it was the hours to keeping over the ship of the sticking over the acid tasting down the throat of this the most important part of the planets and breaking up of the countries and X marks the spot. Coordinating for the coordinates and cordially corresponding to the corporate America. To just be the crayons and cans and don'ts and news and not for the mission. Or I can find a mission for the complicated, for the justified, for answer. Or for me, and I don't really understand that, for the had no plans and time for that, for the matter, for the drifting over the emotions and floating over the oceans, depending on the science and gravity, for the paper to sinking and swimming. Hard to find a see through self, to understand for the fading in the moment, for the known there's on to find the stars of resolution, to find that for the find and meaning. Able to see what time away for the home, for the heart, for the hope, for the opinion, for the still enough for the fail, for the mail, for the memory to yourself like it was a copyright. Sit overnight for the passing of thoughts, since it goes in over the drain. Explain that for the pain, for the chill. She was never enough to find it, for the understanding of what you can find it. For the parts of this would be the finger food, for the appetizer, the drug off of the love. You can find that cloudy nights, and this will be washing over the piers, and cheers and batters, and find the tears to the picture for the being raised, and that for the announcer. Batter for the swinger, for the abuser. Batter that for the love, for the you can stood out for the mouth, for the no, for the third strike, and enough for the inside out, for the washing inside out, for the bleach over the clit, over the sexual beats, over the bleak. Ways to find the wisdom, and oxymoron. The teacher or a womanizer for the preacher, for the supremacist coaching their bleachers, and keeping the whites whiter for the enough for the holograms, to the paper legion, for the speaking of the parables, and cutting off of the perpendicular parallels, and the paralegals for the particulars, cutting out of the participants. Yeah, husbands and wives on the long side of that front for each other for the stories, and looking out of the store looking petty, enough for the petitions getting petty. Each other for the petting zoos, utilizing the power of petals, and not for the neck and the heart and soul, for the energy for the penalizing the matter, for the writing of words and pens, and doing the numbers for the pictures, and imposing prison sentences for the serving of periods. Premature boys and penetrating administrator for the women who kept the film for the PMs and pens and pens and find the pencils and whatever the pen won't make it find any life for the penalty for the it was a middle dark for the age of the pronouncing love. Remember, pronouncing itself for the transition with just energy. The stars align for the call to meter rights and falling in stars. Or maybe the calling for the mediocre for the nothing to find it. You can only imagine for the soon and moon to find it. For water for the drowning out overbearing gravity. Furthermore, I can find it what's down the line for the period for the citizen. The smell of aroma for the loves that over the corner for the store life for the project for the corner store for what's inside the shipping and the night for the crossing over the welling credits. And you can find us and see what's breathing through the nose and upright for the unexpected. Mentality for the enough for the heavy mental for the fine slums or over that for the white for the people. So how you act to talk for that for the not to be equal enough for the coming to remember the sequel and never the tall Negroes and find them people that is not making a peep sound. Found the loud souls that the shoes that they reap, the reaping of the soul for the benefits and able to cross that for the certain amount of path. Smile brings you enough for the dream, for the little, for enough for the heart, for the happiness and the lessons you can find it happen again. Wait for the world, for the bruised shoulders and over the that for the path to pay. Pay for the different roads on the side of that for the pay for the paper check for the you can going over the adolescent for the you could rather have the state for this the state of mind for the never the dream that for the before experiencing clean that for the metaphor for the you can have the fitting for the over the go title for the truth without the Bible for the every whole have to tell the secret tongue tied for the tripping is over your words relates and that for the stage stay for the word for the not to have the pain. The karma never like it was a good name for the pretending that table top is for the reading papers and tenders is never the doubt for the be the adopted foreign affairs so that you're sharing itself and getting lonely enough for the obvious. Oblivious circumstances departed for the deported for the deportations for the nothing to be pride. Evaluated unstable for the standing on uncomfortable common grounds and then evacuated for the premises, the evictions, and like you had a premonition for the predominant repetition. Promising probably.
Whatever you call a love song. Whatever you call a love song. Never love a wild thing,
You can't give your heart to the wild thing, for the more you do, for the stronger you get. Till you're strong enough to run that for the surprising and not for the any ordinary man, for the wonder order, for the perplexity, for the starlight, for the embedded, for the evening sky. May my eyes sense that for all those beautiful secrets, and shall not cease that for the exploration, for the ending of an art exploring, and I find it arriving at the what started. All the know for the what, the price, the place to find, and find the savage for that desire for that, the strong emotions for what you can find, the sensation, the burning inside the vibration, against that for the soft and tender and the shallow and the standardized. Sensation that for the sterilized, life and not for the mad craving. Smash something up into the department stores and saying that for the cathedral, or braving that for the myself, and to be happy enough for the moment, for the that's enough for the Easter moment. All we have a need of not for the more, for this things that aren't adding up in your life and it's only subtracting. But you can find the never this and this will be the more. You can find for the not for the wanting to keep running for what you are running to, for the avoiding and facing what you were facing, to the no worth of running and looking how much you hate. Or for the instead of that changing and when you are, no need to be not allowing to define yourself, and just having a pride for where you come from and where you're going to be at all costs. Pay for the mind of rewinding for the replicate, fate to innate for the rather to be a ratio, rationality to technical, prototype for the protocol, answers to that for the solve the scene, for the things that all learned, the dime the time for the realign, for the parallel, for the fortress to tell for cordially coordinated for the core, dating exclusive. Blind dates, that for the faith, for the make the sight, for the seer, for the near, for the share, that for the rest, and that for the forwards, the barely coming back, bear back for the rarely is shared, to see that for the short, or short that for the comings and coming is short to the comes to the source, designed to find the border for the supporter, for the forces, the impotence, and with that for the confidence, sentence to be sent for the completely compelling, for the spirit, spread, about the cloud, for the call to become, law to grind outside that for the deposit, for the despise, that for the disparities, impaired, for the intuitive, for the better three, the trinity, for the society, for the steady, that for the trends, to be pretending, and the dinner for the subject, tenor subject, topic to be objective, relative for the impact, impulses act to the heart beating, not for the union for the ties, the fun for the fundamental for the fun that meant for the fun filled for the market, the spots, the arc with calling our powers about a name for the indicator for the dictator for the out of the state roaming and ramifications and horns of death for the bully. Bullshit for the yearning for the depth of the yearning for the intern for the turns and integrity for the talk for the bring the about for the brought. While inside that house for the organic origins and the heavy to delay. Patient that are singing enough for the pain for the face and that for the body for perpetrator for the order agitated for the activated for the display the cultivation the aggregation growing. Knowing I hide no wings will find renewable renovations and sitting in behind the observations and standing at that for no reason for the this be the sitting for this theory. Symmetry indicating that for the chance to lean under the high for the school, not for the thought for that good conviction. Convoluted and loitering, premises and premiere for the prematurely. Premeditates for the mediators, not for the penetrator, for the impatience and patterns and so it is sobriety for the libraries and checking it out. Liberty for the depth, vindicating for the channels and taking to the chan, to the day for the make that for the narrative. For the natives that would choose that for the nose, nauseating for the deviant for the experiences that was the peer, the boardwalk that for the life of the board for the games and not to taking the places out of the tent. The tent to the tremendous and the tremors and the trend that for the settlers, for the ceremony for the cages and cultists and the final cure. Octavius, no matter for what it had to be, for the this be the faith of the never, the giving the promise of the peace. Departure that for the zone power. The world would only find that for the eye winner for the time for the day, for the had to be the rich enough for the promise of the jumpstart. A new life and the understanding. Underworld, underwriting. The readiness of that for the long day for the history, to reach out for the about for the that for the new generation of children who was that for the elections and elite. Lit that wick for the depth of the wickedness and the redying, re-ending, preaching with the full for the regulations of regarding that regular. Residing, phase, labyrinth, surpasses, serpent, repeated for the repentance. Rather that for the love, for the passion for the Lord, for the this to be the divine, for the spirit to be able to make that for the waving and season, invisible from fast, fat forward for the bites. That stuff for the flavor, for the exorcism, for the expedite, that acceptance, for the efficiency. Deviant for the different, I can find a chance of that for the chase, that's charity, for the share, for the children, for the future. And at the present states for that, for the steady, for the enough, for the still be stimulated by the their stipulation, for the simple enough, for the complicate, for the compel, for the pull, to push that. Comment that for the comments. Coming back for the this to be the messengers, for the Messiah, for the what we find in media, right for the wrong, for the righteous and right for the present. Presentation that for the nations and countries and contrary, for the ability to continue for the concern. Condition that for the converse. Convoluted for the congress of the confrontation to consider that for the constant, or constipated for the consequentially for the complete aspiring for the information to companies and compensate for the conclusion. Consumers to continue that for the contorted for the conversion for the contemplate. Templates and given that for the grief for the grace of the gravitational grave sites and vision to the remember that for vices to left that for the soul for the called the karma for caring for care.
loved ones. Multiple medications for these pains, and I've been feeling for the different, giving thanks for all those that I've been finding ears and sympathetic for the knowing and how I'm feeling for the different giving looks. I know how to find anything for that I can be actually fitting for the think of the not for the believing, for the behind the believing, the love for the only the learning and our own journey for the finding a piece within our companions. Love us on YouTube for the needs to be the composition for the myself and composer for the old and the hope. Composure for the this to be the eye and the mind, for this to be the one for the biggest of the fans, and for the looking for the admiration for the creating of the acts. Drawn in for the consumers and it be the capitalization for the light running for the sentences for the rivers of the space and after the bars to make that for the paragraph. These may be songs that have been fine and after the sentence for the rivers of this be the space bars. And love itself for this be broken hearted for the broken souls and broken beats and alone with the home for the breaking beats and that find the heart for this to know that home for the where the heart is. The mind, the feeling, for the homeless and attacked, and haven't been sleeping enough for the well, for the worries about life and not for the isolated, for the owner, the island, for the this be the heart for the soul, for the has your brain, for this be the teacher that I know for the math, for this be the focus on what I can never bend for the life, never needed for the wife, never had that for this be the only find I can let it be, because you look your life and the one to tell you in my heart is meaning, and sometimes that I can find that before that feeling the whole thing I can find a way. Finding what's disturbed for the frustrated, for the this be the loss of those who find the moments of this and be embracing and find the pieces for yourself and love for the intelligence and enough to leave your trail for the trust and not for the calling. People ingest because it's more safer to save, and obtuse enough for the sense and I gave for the straight, but habit enough for to be their own way for the having been sleeping a while lately for the only distracted for the sitting inside of the silence and darkness and knowing the rotten I'm the light. Came for the darkness will I return to, or from that for the red for the really find the darkness for the matter for the matter, but you think that be the people for the you can find the subconscious and whatever right, this be the all around for this and people who see who I felt. We're on the way to journey for this to be the written down for the time to journey before that for the ever born for this to be the eternal for the way we fear for the unknown that we can only need out of appreciation for the outer terminal. We call this a release because it is that we consider for the breakup of the so many music notes and so out loud and I can find a way for the other to be proud enough to journey you can be receiving for the because you didn't find it any way for the presentation. Give that's life for the gravity for the hunger for the waiting for the order the waiters to be recognition. Your wait to be weightlessness. Uplifting you to be the other for the one to find nothing to hold you down for the cherishing of what you've been along and lost and after the before they're blind for the eyes won't ever miss that for the because you can't tell for the what's missing or Jordan for the forgotten never forgot under the dark recorded for the base of the subconscious over the play for the intuitive video over the dreams and this to be the matrix episodes of the programs on Netflix and you can find and find and tuning in 2 yards to this for the lifestyle for the seats and for the streams where devices filling not for the boys for the space and the satellites for the never the wife and the living over the connection like the Wi-Fi for the this and the life over the for the most likely we are one. For the one for the adopted, adversity for the black, for the punters, for the crowdy, for the movers, for the getting one, for the party, for the crunk, for the this be the film, for the needs, for the beginning, like the fifth, for the beginning, we get fifth to the bit, for the this, but about that, for the owner, the Rodney, drawn to the ways for the innocent, kids of that for the elections, imagination when the white walls are learning how to behave, for the out, for the ignorant applications, for this, for the outlets in the green, and anger, for the owner to be inside it, for the door, for the patriarchy, for the injured, for the after the squatting down, comprehension, riots enough for the rested. Book that for the book and the one on the shelf, for this be released for the early over the ground, for the good behavior, for the food for thought, for no patience and no way for the balance. No taters, no flavor. No God, no taste, no flavor for the tongue, no feelings and no savor for the hope of the death for the terror because they're over the terror. Remind those pastimes. Spending time with those loved ones. Multiple medications for these and pains and I've been feeling for the different giving thanks for all those that I've been finding ears and sympathetic for the knowing and how I feeling for the different giving looks. I know how to find anything for that I can be actually feeling for the things that not for the believing, for the believe in the love for the only the learning and our own journey for the finding a piece within our companions. Love us on YouTube for the these to be the composition for the myself for the most for the old and the hope. Composure for the this to be the eye and the mind for this to be the one for the biggest for the fans and the music for the looking to the admiration for the creating of the ads. Drawn in for the consumers and it be the capitalization for the light running the sentences for the rivers of the space and after the bars to make that for the paragraph. These may be songs and after the fine and after the sentence of the rivers to this be the space bars. And love itself for this be broken hearted for the broken souls and broken beats and alone with the home with the breaking beats and that can find a heart for this and know that home for the where the heart is. The mind, the feeling, for the homeless and attacked, and haven't been sleeping enough for the well, for the worries about life and not for the isolated, for the owner, the island, for the this be the heart, for the soul, for the has your brain, for this be the teacher that I know, for the math, for this be the focus on what I can never been for the life, never needed for the wife, never had that for the needed, for the this be the only find I can well, because the adult life and the one to tell you, my heart for the bleeding, and sometimes that I can find that before that for the feeling and the only thing I can find a way. Finding what's disturbed for the frustrated, for the this be the loss of those who find the moments of this to be embracing, for the finding pieces for yourself, for the love, for the intelligence, for the enough to lead your trail, for the trust and not for the calling. People are just because it's more safe
safer to save. I'm choosing enough of the sense that I gave for the straight, but having enough of to be their own way for the having been sleeping a while lately. I'm only distracted for the sitting inside of the silence and darkness and knowing the wrath and I'm the light. Came for the darkness, will I return to? From that for the rare for the blue, you find the darkness for the matter for the matter, but you be the people for the you find the subconscious and whatever it may be. This be the all around for this, to see who I felt. We're on a way to journey for this to be the written now for the time for the journal for the before that for the ever born for this to be the eternal for the way we fear for the unknown so we can know the have the appreciation for the outer journey. You call us a release because it was that for the consider for the breakup of the episode and the music of the out loud and I can find a way to this now. I'm trying to be proud of the journey for this to be the receiving so that because you didn't find it any way for the presentation. Give that's life for the gravity for the hunger for the waiting for the order the waiters to be recognition. You're waiting for the weightlessness, uplifting you to be the other one to find another to hold you down for the cherish for what you've been long lost and after before the blind and eyes won't even miss that because you can't tell the what's the Jordan for the forgotten never forgot. On the dark recorded for the base of the subconscious over the play for the intuitive over the dreams and this will be the matrix. Episodes of the programs on Netflix and you can time to find and tuning in 2 yards to this for the lifestyle for the season for the streams. Where devices filling not for the voice and the space and the satellites for the never the wife and the different over the connection like the Wi-Fi for the this to be the liking over the route for the most likely they're one. For the one for the adopted adversity for the black for the punters for the karate for the movies for the getting one for the party for the corner for this be the film for the needs for the bit like in the bit for the we get fit to the bit for this about that for the order the great karate drawn to the way for the innocent kids that for the elections imagination will when the white walls are learning how to behave for the ignoring the applications for the outlets of the green the anger for the order to be inside it for the door for the patriarchy for the inner for the athlete squat down comprehension rise enough for the rest book that for the book of the bone shelf for this be released for the early over the ground for the good behavior for the food for thought for no patience and no way for no balance no taters no flavors no God no taste no flavor for the tongue no feelings and no savor for the hope of the death for the theater because the over the dinner remind those pastimes spending time with those loved ones multiple medications to these and pains and I've been feeling for the difference giving thanks for all those that I've been finding ears and sympathetic for the knowing and how I feeling for the different giving looks but I know how to find anything for that I can be actually feeling for the thinking the not for the believing for the I to believe in the love for the only the learning in our own journey for the finding a piece within our companions love us and you too for the these to be the composition for the myself the composer for the owning the hope composure for the this to be the eye and the mind for this to be the one for the biggest of the fans and the music for the looking to admiration for the creating and the ads drawn in for the consumers and to be the capitalization for the like running the sentences for the rivers of the space and not for the bars to make that for the paragraph these may be songs and that for the fine and after the sentence for the rivers to this be the space bars and love for the self for this be broken hearted for the broken souls and broken beats and alone with the home with the breaking beats and that can find a heart for this to know that home for the where the heart is the mind the feeling for the homeless and attacked and haven't been sleeping enough for the well for the worries about life and not for the isolated for the owner the island for the this to be the heart for the soul for the has your brain for the this to be the teacher that I know for the math and this to be the focus on what I can never been for the life never needed for the wife never had that for the needed for the this to be the only find I can want to need and pain cuts and the dull knife and the one to tell you with my heart for the bleeding and sometimes that I can find that for the before that for the feeling and the only thing I can find a way you can find it what's the stir for the frustrated for the this to be the loss of those to find the moments of this to be embracing and to find the pieces for yourself for the love for the intelligent for the enough to lead your trail for the trust and not for the calling people intrinsic because it's more safer to save I'm too enough for the sense that I not gay for the straight but happy enough to be their own way for the having been sleeping a while lately for the only distracted for the sitting inside of the silence and darkness and knowing the wrath and I'm the light came for the darkness will I return to from that for the rare for the root you find the darkness for the matter for the matter but you think you can be the people for the you can find the subconscious and whatever it may then this will be the all around for this and people to see who I felt we're on a way to journey for this to be written down for the time for the journal for the before that for the ever born for this to be the eternal for the way we fear for the unknown that we can no need to have an appreciation for the outer terminals you call us a release because it was that for the consider for the breakup for the it was only the music notes and the meaning really themselves out loud and I can find the ways that I'm proud to be proud enough for the journey for this to be the receiving for the because you didn't find it any way for the presentation give that's life for the gravity for the waiting for the order the waiters to be recognition your way to be weightlessness uplifting you to be the others for the one to find another to hold you down for the cherish you know what you've been along lost and after before the blind for the eyes won't ever miss that for the because you can't tell what's missing on Jordan for the forgotten and never forgot one of the dark recorded for the base of the subconscious over the play for the intuitive video over the dreams and this to be the matrix episodes of the programs on Netflix and you can time to find and tuning in 2 yards to this for the lifestyle for the seats and for the streams where devices for the not for the voice of the space and the satellites for the never the wife and the different over the connection like the Wi-Fi for the this to be the liking over the route for the most likely we're one for the adopted adversity for the black for the punters for the karate for the movies for the getting one for the party for the quantity this be the film for the needs of the beginning bit like in the bit for the get fit to the bit for the this bit about that for the order the written drawn to the way for the innocent kids of that for the elections imagination will when the white walls are learning how to behave for the out for the ignoring the applications for this the outlets in the green the anger for the order to be inside it for the door for the patriarchy for the injury for the athlete squatting down comprehension rise enough for the rested book That for the book of the run on the shelf, for this be released for the early over the ground, for the good behavior, for the food for thought, for no patience and no waiting, for the no balance. No taters, no flavors. No God, no taste, no flavor for the tongue, no feelings and no savor, for the hope of the death, for the tater, because they're over the tater. Never mind those pastimes. Spending time with those loved ones. Multiple medications to these and pains, and I've been feeling for the difference, giving thanks for all those that I've been finding ears and sympathetic for the knowing and how I feeling for the different giving looks. But I know how to find anything for that I can be actually feeling for the thing for the not for the believing for the mind to believe in the love for the only the learning in our own journey for the finding a peace within our companions. Love ones and you too for the these to be the composition for the myself and composer for the own and the hope. Composure for the this to be the eye and the mind for this to be the one for the biggest of the fans and the music for the looking to admiration for the creating of the ads. Drawn in for the consumers and to be the capitalization for the like running to the sentences for the rivers of the space and after the bars to make that for the paragraph. These may be songs and after the fine and after the sentence for the rivers to this be the space bars. And love for the self for this be broken hearted for the broken souls and broken beats and alone with the home with their breaking beats and that can find a heart for this and know that home for the where the heart is. The mind, the feeling, for the homeless and attacked, and haven't been sleeping enough for the well, for the worries about life and not for the isolated, for the owner, the island, for the this to be the heart, for the soul, for the has your brain, for the this to be the teacher that I know, for the math, for this to be the focus on what I can never been for the life, never needed for the wife, never had that for the needed, for the this to be the only fine I can need. Pain cuts in the door, knife in the one to tell you in my heart for the bleeding, and sometimes that I can find that for the before that, for the feeling, and the only thing I can find a way. You can find it what's stirred for the frustrated, for the this to be the loss of those to find the moments of this to be embracing, and to find the pieces for yourself, for the love, for the intelligence, for the enough to lead your trail, for the trust and not for the calling. People that drink because it's more safe for the safe, and obtuse enough for the sense for the not gay for the straight, but happy enough for the be their own way, for the having been sleeping a while lately, for the only distracted, for the sitting inside of the silence and darkness and knowing the rotten I'm the light. Came for the darkness, what I return to. From that for the rest, for the root, you find the darkness, for the matter, for the matter, what you thinking, and it could be the people for the which you find the subconscious and whatever remains, and just be the all around for this, the people who can see who I felt. We're on the way to journey for this to be the written down for the time for the journal for the before that for the ever born for this to be the eternal for the way we feel for the unknown that we don't need to have an appreciation for the outer terms. We call this a release because it was that for the consider for the breakup for the it was only the music notes and really read themselves out loud and I can find the ways to find the crown to be proud enough for the journey for this it could be the receiving for the because you didn't find it any way for the presentation. Give that's life for the gravity for the hunger for the waiting for the order the waiters to be recognition. Your wait to be weightlessness. Uplifting you to be the other one and one to find nothing to hold you down for the cherishing of what you've been along and lost and after the before they're blind for the eyes won't ever miss that for the because you can't tell for the what's missing or toward it for the forgotten never forgot under the dark recording for the base of the subconscious over the play for the intuitive video over the dreams and this to be the matrix episodes of the programs in the Netflix and you can find and tuning in 2 yards to this for the lifestyle for the seats and for the streams